Yeah, my name is Greg Harrelson, and I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I have multiple Century 21 offices. In Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, there's three offices, and then I have offices in Columbia, South Carolina, as well as Charleston, South Carolina, and we're expanding. I'm really doing a lot of focus or putting a lot of focus and attention on the Carolinas. Since that's where I live. I've been in the real estate industry. I've known you for many years, and I've been licensed for probably 26 or 27 years. Anywhere from starting off as kind of like prospecting for my dad to going in and taking listings myself to, building teams and then building more of a teamage, which is a lot of people are not sure, am I a brokerage or am I a team? Well, the reality is I do own the brokerages, but they really function a little bit more like a team just because a lot of the CRMs and things like that are shared, and I do a lot of coaching. So it's been a wonderful ride, and I'm looking forward for the next 10 years.
Greg, so you started prospecting for your dad? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Jackie,
How this
before,
whole thing started, because you basically monopolized, you take control of where you are in the real estate market. Tell me how it started.
yeah, so before we met, when I was involved in coaching, and as you were, I came into the business working for my dad, and I was finishing college, and I say I was getting ready to stop going to college. I didn't finish college. I was just about ready to quit college, and right before I quit college, I needed a job, so I went to work with my dad, and he actually had me prospecting for around 3 to 4 hours every day.
Mm.
And so all I did was just prospect for him. I called like expireds and FISBOs. I mean, we're talking 27 years ago. Expireds, FISBOs, just solds. That's pretty much what I did. And I did it every single day, or at least 5 days a week, around 3 to 4 hours a day. I then went to school, and then I came back, and I would usually prospect a few more hours in the evening, maybe 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours. And I did that for about 6 months. And what ended up happening, Jackie, is my dad started getting a lot of listings from the leads that I was getting, because I was just prospecting, handing it to him.
Yeah.
And when I started to see, and he started to see the results of what was going on, that was my ticket right there. I stopped fooling around with college. I went full time into real estate, and here we are.
Wow. Okay, so then tell me what happened next. So you went full time in real estate. Did you start working on your own, or you were still working with your dad?
No, I worked with my dad. Yeah, so I worked with my dad, and what ended up happening is I continued to be a prospector, and prospect, give him the leads, and then I started working with a few buyers early on. Most people hear that, if they know anything about me, they're like, "Oh wow, I can't believe Greg ever worked
I
with a
can't.
buyer."
That's right.
Yeah, and I didn't work with a lot. Um, but I did, and what ended up happening is I identified that my personality was not really geared. It didn't fit working for buyers, and that doesn't mean that anybody that has a similar personality couldn't do it. But one of the things about me is I understood that buyers buy off emotion and sellers sell off logic, and I'm not an emotional presenter. So
Mm.
when somebody was to walk into a house, and they would be like, "Oh my God, look how great this room is." I'm sitting in the background, "But you're going to lose money." "Oh my God, I want this condo. Honey, let's get this condo. This one, you're going to lose $20,000 a year if you buy this condo." So I was thinking too logically, right? Sellers sell off logic. That tends to be where sellers, they have those types of conversations. "I'm going to sell because this is not making sense." Buyers are like, "I'm going to buy because it feels good." So I was robbing buyers from being able to buy a property based on what they wanted to experience, because I was just saying it's not logical. Forget your experiences, forget that emotion, don't buy it. I was talking them out of it. Once I kind of like discovered that, and that probably took a year to discover, then I really said, okay, I'm just going to start learning the next phase here. I already know how to generate listing leads. Let me just go get the listings.
Mhm.
And so my dad and I just continued to work together. We built out a team, and next thing you know, we're doing 300 deals, 400 deals, 500 deals a year, with just my dad, myself, my mom, and another assistant. And then that's when we started getting buyers agents, and then I then opened up the brokerage in 1999.
So, Greg, with you, your dad, your mom, and one assistant, you were doing 300 to 400.
We were doing at that time, we were doing around 300 transactions.
Wow,
So my dad and I, all we were doing is just listing. We could list 25 properties easily in a month. That was not an issue.
amazing.
Not an
Okay.
issue.
And
But
then
then
how?
we started to go past that. We started bringing on buyers agents because we were losing all those additional, all the other deals because we were just throwing all the leads away.
I got you. Exactly. That's what I did. So I never brought in buyer's agents. I was just doing listings. So I understand.
Yep. Yep.
So, Greg, owning an office, opening your brokerage, that's not easy. And I know very few like you. I know a lot of great real estate agents. And that's where, if they attempt to do that, they fail. Most of them. And you've had like incredible success. So talk about that. How did that come about? How did you start? And how do you do it so it is profitable and successful?
Yeah, I think it's such an important question that I don't think that question is asked or explored enough. So I'm glad you're giving me that opportunity.
Mm.
A few things. Especially in the last 10 years, there's this wave in communication about, you know, I need to work myself. I need to become the CEO of the company. Like a lot of people want to be the CEO, and I actually thought differently. I'm like, no, I need to hire a CEO. I
Mhm.
need to hire a CFO. Like to me, CEO is delegatable. Broker in charge is delegatable. CFO is delegatable. So instead of like elevating myself up to these higher levels, I actually always stayed on the ground level with my agents, and then I delegated all the higher levels. So then, where a lot of people will go from great agent or maybe and want to go into building a brokerage, well, what they do is they elevate and they leave the ground level agent, being an agent, and they elevate themselves to some level that, in my opinion, I can just pay money to delegate that and I can stay at the ground level. So, last year, still as an owner of multiple brokerages, I took 170 listings last year. I'm an agent that owns a brokerage. I'm not a brokerage that's trying to act like an agent. So
Wow.
I've got, in my opinion, I'm kind of saying this about myself, so it kind of sounds funny when I say it, but I have street credibility, and I still have street credibility today. I am still on the streets. So now, just like kids do what their parents do, not what their parents say.
Yes.
My agents do what I do.
Yes. Yep.
That's the key. So I never, Jackie, you and I have a lot of similarities about how we built our businesses around listings. I never left.
Mm,
I
that's
never left listings. I never left showing up at the office at 7:45 and getting onto my station at 8 o'clock. I've never left. I was at my station at 8 o'clock this morning.
wow. Greg, honestly, in all the years, and I've been, as you may know, coach for Keller Williams for many
Yeah.
years, where they teach a different approach. I have not come across such a successful business owner like you who's still doing it.
Yeah.
You're the first one. So thank you for enlightening us all about this, because I would imagine that's one of the main secrets to the success of your companies.
I truly believe it is. I truly believe it is because the agents are being able to see an example of somebody that can do more than the industry kind of says that you can do. It allows me to set the tone and the pace. It allows me to show them what routines and rituals look like. It shows them that I'm willing to deal with repetitious boredom just like they are. And we know, like, if you just do those things that I just mentioned right there, success is inevitable. I've got agents in my office that do 300 deals, right at 300 deals a year with literally two assistants, no buyers agents, no builder relationships. These guys are like just absolute purists when it comes to listings. And but the key is their routines and rituals and their skill sets are so refined.
Hmm.
And that's like, to me, people say, well, gosh, their numbers are extraordinary. And I said, their numbers are not extraordinary. Their numbers are ordinary. What's extraordinary is the process that they follow every morning. Showing up at 8 o'clock is extraordinary because people don't do it. Prospecting from 8 to 11 is extraordinary because no one's willing to do it. Role playing after you're already doing 200 deals, still trying to refine your skills, that's extraordinary. And I tell people when they say, well, their numbers are so extraordinary, I said, no, it's not. Their activities are extraordinary. What the heck did you think was going to happen if they do this every day? These numbers are ordinary. It's just what's going to happen if they follow these activities.
Incredible. Amazing. This is amazing. Greg, how many agents do you have you set in Myrtle Beach, right? Because I remember Myrtle Beach is your hub, the main area
Yeah.
you started, right? So in all of the offices that you have, how many agents do you have working and how many transactions you closed last year?
So right now we have, at the end of last year, I think we had 206 or 207. Right now it might be 210, 215, but let's, and then we closed over $1 billion worth of volume, and right at maybe 3950, just shy of 4,000 closings with 207 agents. So you can figure out per person production is pretty good.
Amazing, amazing. So maybe you'll say some of the same things that you just mentioned about the activities and the rituals and the habits and the discipline and all of that. But when you bring in a brand new agent into your company, what do you tell them to do? What is like the first 90 days for a brand new real estate agent, brand new to real estate and brand new to your company?
Yeah, yeah, good. Because I do have a lot of those. So the first thing, besides the HR part, right, the filling out the paperwork, which should be done in the first 24 to 48 hours, we immediately, what I did is I created a onboarding for new agents. So I created a kind of like a new agent training,
Mhm.
which consists of around 36 videos. And it's basically all the things that I think somebody new needs to know when they're coming into the business. So I created sales videos or
Training videos.
coach training videos that they go through, and then they're monitored, so we know they're going through them. And then part of that is them learning scripts and mastering scripts and even being able to demonstrate that they know the script. So we have a script certification portion of that where they have to go in, watch all these videos, and then they have to actually be script certified, which is demonstrate that they know the scripts. And if they can't demonstrate they know the scripts, they're not going to be enabled for any lead flow or anything like that. So we're like, I don't recognize them as being able to really work until they've been script certified. And so they go through this program, and we just know that if we put them through this program, then at that point, we know probably in about 30 days, we know they're ready to go. And part of that program will also be learning the CRM and giving them, say, 200 old leads, having them call them and then set appointments or put them in the CRM, make sure they're tagging them properly. So there's a lot of things there that we're teaching them how to do. Once they get through that, they're ready. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be successful. They're ready for us to go ahead and say, all right, now let's go and start playing the game of real estate. And then they're going to have a whole series of failures. We're going to be seeing those failures, and we're going to problem solve. We're going to troubleshoot, help them learn those lessons that they need to learn because they did that one particular failure. And next thing you know, they're on their way.
So when you say now they're ready to start playing the game of real estate, what does that look like? What's the schedule here? What are they doing now?
Well, everyone's going to through the training, everyone's going to kind of understand that we've got routines, right? That our recommendation to anybody. I look at me as kind of like the company being like a coaching company, okay? And meaning that how I might coach somebody if they were in a coaching company of mine is kind of how I coach agents. So
Mhm.
I'm going to have them, I'm going to share with them the importance of the routine, which is starts at 5 a.m. And then the things that they do, the pregame routine before they actually get to the office. And then the game, which is what I call 8 to 11, which is lead generation time. And then you got post game, which is get everything done after 11, go on your appointments, do your research, set up your showings, whatever that is. I'm sharing with them pregame, game, and postgame, and kind of giving them what activities fit in which phase. And then from there, that's what they're doing.
So, Greg, I would imagine that with all the structure you have, and you being the example, just an amazing example, there's still agents that come into your company that don't succeed,
Sure. Yeah,
that
absolutely. Yeah.
that do really really well. What separates them? What is it that you feel separates the ones that are going to have incredible success from the ones that might end up having to go back and get a real job?
Yeah. The two things come to mind: fear and belief.
Hmm.
Fear of, like, I'm not sure if I can, or fear of like failing, meaning like, or being afraid to talk to somebody because they're afraid they're going to sound bad.
Hmm.
It's the fear of getting out of the box, because I'm giving them, like, here's the box, here's the structure. Like, if you stay into this, if you just kind of stick to these simple activities, there's going to be some amazing results that's going to be created. But every agent is on a different timeline. Like, two people could stick to the same process, and one gets it in 40 days and the other one gets it in 7 months. And it doesn't mean anything. It just, people sometimes learn and progress at different paces. But I would just say fear of getting out of the box. And then the other one is believing in themselves. I don't know how many agents that, like, they're struggling because they just don't believe in themselves. Like, they don't believe that they can make that phone call and have that conversation. They're that, and that lack of belief shows up in a lack of confidence. And real estate is a game of confidence. Consumer is hiring confidence. So if you don't believe, then you're not going to exude confidence, and they're going to see that you're not confident. So therefore, they're not going to hire you. But I think it's belief in confidence, or belief in fears.
Here, so a question about the belief, because you're making me think back to when I started in real estate. I didn't have this belief in myself initially, but I did it anyway. I was massively prospecting, and I was afraid of calling people when I would but when I started 26 years ago, almost the same time as you, Greg, I used, my average price was like 150,000. When I saw an expire that was 500,000, I would actually pray they wouldn't answer. How much the fear of speaking with them, of not knowing what to say, like
Yeah.
all kinds of fears, right? So I I I know how I developed the belief, but how would you help a brand new agent who doesn't have the belief? I would imagine just watching you and being in this environment is huge, but belief is something very internal and personal. So what are some of the things that you tell them to do so that they can develop this belief in themselves?
One of the things is, it's okay if you don't have belief, because can come over time.
Mm,
So if you're gonna be somebody that maybe you're a little bit, again, insecure in that particular area, maybe lacking a little belief, but you're committed to the process, then if you commit to the process, you're going to see the evidence. And then when you see it, then you'll believe it. Like, we kind of know that, right?
right.
And so somebody that might be lacking, it's, to me, success is inevitable, but what's undetermined is how long it's going to take.
Mm,
So I have some people that lacking belief, and it takes them longer because they need more evidence. They need to see it more. And then all of a sudden they start just kind of believing themselves. And then you have others that like, they just believe it
Yeah.
and they believe it and then they'll see it, right? And so they just believe it and they go after it, and all of a sudden they're going to shortcut the learning curve. Their learning curve is going to be very short, because they just go. And the difference between somebody that believes it and then sees it versus somebody that has to see it before they believe it, the difference is time. If you have to see it to believe it, then it's going to take some time for you to see the evidence. But if you believe it from the get-go, there's no time involved. It's
This is
automatic.
great. What you just said is worth so much. So what it's making me think about is what separates the really successful agents from the ones that end up having to go get a real job is they're not willing to do it long enough to actually get the success. For whatever reason, they get discouraged and quit, or something happens there. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, I would say it's very accurate. I think the only thing that I would add to that is it's very hard to be alone and be able to kind of get through what we just said.
Yeah.
So having somebody like me in the office, somebody having a coach like you, like, that's extremely important, because you may be in it and you may be feeling like you're like doing everything you can because you're in it, but you also need somebody on the sidelines that's kind of looking over you, because they see it from a totally different perspective. So I think some of I think people need coaches, they need mentors, or they need good leadership that's going to hold them accountable. Because that person, whether they believe it or they don't believe in themselves, if there's a coach on the sideline, usually the coach believes in the student or the agent way more than the agent believes in themselves. So it's very important to have that person on the sideline to have those dialogues with, to keep you going. So yes, a lot of people quit really early, but they quit because they're the coach of themselves. They don't have somebody else actually coaching them. And we know we are poor coaches to ourselves. Even myself, I'm the worst coach. I'm the worst coach to myself.
Oh my goodness. This has been incredible. That's all I have to say, Greg. I thank you so much. I know you're such a busy guy. You taking the time to do this for me is just the best thing ever. So thank
Yes,
you
Jackie.
so much. If anyone needs just the best real estate agent in is Myrtle Beach, tell us again the locations you're at.
Yep. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm soon going to Wilmington, North Carolina. We're getting ready to open up there, and then likely Greenville, South Carolina. So if anyone's in any of those areas, please just go to Facebook and direct message me, and I'd love to talk with you.
Greg Harrelson, thank you so much, Greg. You're the best. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. See you
You're
soon.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.